This is the third exercise dealing with enterics. Remember those gram-negative bacillus non-spore forming that are typically found in the intestines. And so oftentimes you have patients who may have, especially if they have a GI tract, intestinal distress, as someone used to call it, infections, and you're wanting to see what they have. You have learned how we can do a lot of these various biochemical tests to try to determine what the causative agent is. We have been teaching you how to do all these tests individually. That requires a lot of time, a lot of media, a lot of space, a lot of resources. And so in the lab actual setting, be it in a clinic, hospital, etc., oftentimes what will be used instead of all these separate petri dishes and all these separate test tubes all filled with media is they have what are known as API strips and also enterotubes. Enterotubes are fairly common. And what an enterotube is, it is this tube, and it has these chambers. So this is a drawing of it here, and you can see an actual enterotube up here at the top. Each chamber has a different type of media in it for doing all the biochemical testing that we've been teaching you individually how to do it, but it's all in one place. It's also in a very small container, so it doesn't take as much space as lots of tubes and petri dishes. So it's a very quick, easy way to run the test. You get a test very quickly. There is a metal rod that runs through the center of this tube, and these ends will screw off. And so once you have plated out your sample, your specimen, and you have individual colonies, so you can get a pure colony, one isolated by itself, and you take an enterotube, you screw off one end, and there's a metal wire in there. You touch that on the colony, and then the other end you screw off, and you're able to pull. So you can touch one end, and then you're going to pull this metal wire that you just inoculated from the pure colony. You're going to pull it all the way through here. As it's passing each of these chambers, it's inoculating them. You get to the very end, you break off the wire, screw the little caps on either end, and then you just stick this entire tube in the incubator. So as you can see, it takes up a lot less space. After the incubation time, what you do then is you look to see, as you can see here on this chart, the upper row here is showing you what negative results look like. The bottom one shows you what positive results look like. So this would be a positive, positive, positive. This one looks negative, negative, positive, 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 negative, 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 negative. And so you would record this on a paper, and then you get a number, and you look that number up in a booklet, and it will tell you, oh, 99% chance you have E. coli, or whatever the organism is. This is the API strip, works in a similar way. The difference here is you have to have your organism grown in pure culture in a broth, and then you inoculate each one of these little wells across the strip. This upper row, as you can see, it shows you what positive results are, negative results here. Once again, similar to your enterotube, is that you record these, and it will you can see all these little divisions here. That's dividing. So like these three, you give it like a check mark or a 1, basically. It's 0 if it's negative, 1 if it's positive. And so like in this section, if they're all negative, it would be a 0. If one of these was a positive, it would be a 1. So each one of these groupings, you get a number. And so you record that number. Once again, like the enterotube, you look that number up, and that's the same way you get the number for the enterotubes. And once again, it will tell you, maybe it will say 95% chance that it's E. coli, and 5% chance it's Enterobacter aerogenes, or whatever the case may be. Both of these are what is actually used in the field. Sometimes they actually have these 96 well plates they can also use. It's a faster, easier way of running a lot of biochemical tests at once. You're not using as many resources. It doesn't take up as much space, and it's very quick to read them. So that's what the Enterotube and the API strips are.